We on tonight's program, tonight we're going to look at some of the things that the Bible has to say about manifestation, and also about not just liars but dangerous liars, and how that God always manifests those that mean us harm before the harm comes. God is a God who cares about His creation. He cares about His world, but He put it in the responsibility and in the care of human beings. Adam, of course, the first one, and they failed. They opened the gates, they let an enemy in, and the whole world changed thereafter. What God has promised, He would reveal to us what was bringing judgment before the judgment would come. As I've explained to you before, there is individual judgment and there is a national judgment. God will manifest trouble, and before we come to a place of national judgment, the Bible said God will let us know and let us clearly see what is wrong. He told us that what doth manifest is light. Light will always manifest the darkness and the evil. The point being very simple. God will give us one last shot, one last chance to correct something that is wrong on a national level before He brings national judgment. But if we don't, then there will be national judgment. And if you think things are bad now, if God turns a nation or brings a nation into the place of national judgment, He judges a whole nation. Everybody in it is affected and harmed. We don't want national judgment, but we are at the brink of a national judgment, just as Nineveh of old. For those of you who may not recognize Nineveh, you probably do recognize Jonah. Jonah was the prophet that God sent to Nineveh to preach to them that in 40 days their city was going to be destroyed. It was going to be a national judgment. They listened, they hearkened unto Jonah, and was spared for another 150 years. America, with all the devastation and the mess that you see taking place in it right now, it can be stopped. But it will be up to us to do it. God-fearing, Bible-believing people who are able to see the signs, not just of what's going on, for even a fool could recognize what's going on here and now. Again, as we've talked in other programs, this is not fruit that we're waiting to manifest. This is hanging fruit on a tree. We know what's going on in the nation. What we have to understand is what God is showing us and how clear God is making this foolishness so that we will do something about it. And we being a free people as of right now, we still have the power to change it with a vote. That is why these deceivers, these destroyers, and these dangerous liars right now is attacking the voting system. They want to cheat. They have cheated in the past, but there is nothing like what you're going to see in this election that's coming up, with the cheaters and the liars as they attempt to, by force, put themselves back into full power. Now, whenever you see the clips that we're going to play tonight, it's just impossible not to see the lies and then to ask yourself, if a person would go this far to lie to get power, then after this person gets power, or this group gets power, what are they going to do then? If they have the ability to shake up the nation and the world to the degree that they have shaken it now, just to get their power, just to get one man out of office, when they get the power this time, what do you think these evil souls are going to do to those that believe? To the Christian community, to us. They are coming after us, make no mistake about it. I want you to see what God is clearly manifesting. It says in Luke 8:17, "For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, that is brought to the light. Neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad." This is the Lord Jesus telling us. Sooner or later, the truth is going to come out. And it always does, don't it? But because the truth comes out, don't mean we will obey it, follow it, love it, or accept it. I'm going to show you these dangerous liars in several clips tonight. Let's look at clip number 1 first.
But we can witness our federal government sending agents to use tear gas and batons against peaceful demonstrators.
Here he is telling the people that our federal government is sending people, Donald Trump, sending the military with batons and tear gas to attack peaceful rioters, peaceful protesters. Here's your peaceful protesters.
To use tear gas and batons against peaceful demonstrators.
Now, the man that you just saw speak, Barack Obama, he is not ignorant. He's devilish, but he's not ignorant. He knows what he's doing. The people that are ignorant are these. The clapping crowds that gives the deceiver exactly what he needs and what he wants to deceive. Mr. Obama, as I said, is not ignorant. He is playing these people. These are not peaceful protesters. There is nobody in their right mind or deranged brain that could say that this was peaceful. Somebody could say they've got the right to burn and tear up buildings because of this or because of that. But nobody in the world can say these are peaceful protesters. He is playing these people. And the true ignorance is manifested in that clapping crowd. The next clip.
There's violence across the whole country. Do you disavow the violence from Antifa that's happening in Portland right now? That's
a myth that's being spread only in Washington, D.C.
About Antifa in Portland?
Yes.
Sir, there's videos everywhere online. There's fires and riots. They're throwing fireworks at federal officers. DHS is there. Look online.
That's a myth. That's a myth. That's a myth.
That's one of your leading Democrat congressmen, one of the leaders, Jerry Nadler, telling you that what your lying eyes sees is just a lie. It's just a myth. That there are violent protesters? Where? That violent protest has been taking place in Portland for 60, 70 days now? That's just a myth that don't exist. Why would a human being tell you such bold-faced lies? And as I asked at the beginning, if they are lying to this degree, shameful, a man telling us it is a myth, what we are looking at. He tells us being filmed, it is a myth. If they are willing to stoop to this level of lying to get power, once they get it, my gracious God in heaven, what do you think they are going to do with it? These people are dangerous liars. The next clip. That machine gun fire is in the blessed streets of a city in the United States of America, Chicago, where they went to a funeral. Reckon that's just a myth too? Then the next clip is the man that wants to be your president, the one that can't string a single sentence together, telling a black man that if you vote for the person that is against me, you ain't black. I'd sure love to see Donald Trump get by with that.
Long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
People and leaders from the Democrat Party telling black folks when they black and when they ain't black is nothing new. It shouldn't be shocking. Constantly, over and over and over, Jesse Jackson has told the black community, unless you line up and think the way we think and do what we do and vote like we tell you to vote, you ain't black. And they call them other names. Al Sharpton, dozens and dozens of times, has told black folks when they was black and when they wasn't black. Now you got a white Democrat leader wanting to be the president, echoing their message. You vote for me or you ain't black. As I said, let Donald Trump say that and see what the headlines are.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
These Democrats wants to tear down statues of even people who liberated blacks from slavery. But yet they have a statue of Mr. Byrd, Senator Byrd, who was the leader of the Democratic Party until just a few years ago when he died. Mr. Byrd was a recruiter for the KKK. Why don't they take his statue down? They don't touch it. Just like for all the years he was the leader of the Democratic Party up until just a few years ago when he died. They never uttered a word about him being a Klan recruiter, not just a head dog in the Ku Klux Klan. He was a Klan recruiter, Senator Byrd. But they never mumbled a word about his past, not while he was there. They faithfully served him. They'll tear down statues of Abraham Lincoln that fought to free the slaves and lost his life doing it. But they'll keep Senator Byrd's statue sitting right there in the congressional halls. If you cannot see this, you deserve everything that's coming. The next clip.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
And there goes the leader of the Democratic Party, the Speaker of the House, wishing and wanting and wondering why there are not protests and why people's not up in arms, why there's not uprisings all over the place. This is what she was calling for. This is what she wanted. She expressed from her own mouth the desire for this to happen. These are community organizers. They've been doing it for years and years and years. They know who they have. They know who they've got. They know who's out there. And they know what they're capable of doing. And every time they need some public support to by force get what they want, they send them out to protest in the cities, in the streets. Who you think lined up in perfect form Black Lives Matters and painted it down streets? That takes some artistic ability. Somebody did it for them. They have pictures of people dropping off at these peaceful riots and protests. People dropping off bricks, pieces of brick, bats being handed out. It's all designed. It is the, community organizers at work. And Miss Pelosi was baffled and could not grasp in her mind why there are not already uprisings over the whole nation. And then she says, maybe there will be. I reckon she's happy now. The next clip that I want to show you is from Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a man I sincerely believe was searching for the truth. I believe he wanted the truth. I believe he was looking for the truth. Malcolm X saw what this group of people, these dangerous liars, he saw what they was doing in the 60s. This was the party, the Democratic Party, that created the Ku Klux Klan. They created them to be exactly what you see Antifa and everything else is that they created now. The Klan was created to be an intimidating factor to the voter, to the black voter, or even the white voters that supported the blacks. So they created them an arm of intimidation, a wing of intimidation, the Ku Klux Klan. Now it's Antifa. Now it's Trump voters. Now it's Republican voters that are being attacked, that's being beat up, white and black. White Trump voters, black Trump voters are being beat up. The news don't carry it and the Democrat says nothing of it because it is the same picture as it was before. It is their intimidating arm. Though, listen, the Democratic Party was never interested in the color of your skin. They was interested only in your vote. If you got your voting rights, the blacks, if you got your voting right, you would be a voting bloc for the Republicans who fought for your freedom, who got your freedom, who passed the civil rights laws of which all the Democrats withstood and would not vote for and filibustered. When you got your voting rights, the Democrats had to shift it quickly to create means whereby they could get your vote. So they started out with welfare, as I've told you on many shows. Lyndon Johnson, LBJ, the president that took place after Mr. Kennedy was killed mysteriously, was recorded saying, coming into Washington on a plane when he heard that the New Deal, his New Deal, the welfare system had been passed. He said this will keep the N-word voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Malcolm X knew all this. He saw it. He saw what was really happening. He saw these nasty, dangerous liars. And he saw them just like you should be able to see what I've showed you tonight. And he gave a speech. And in that speech, he listed several things. He then told his race that if you vote for a Democrat, you've betrayed your race. Malcolm didn't say you wasn't black. He said you betrayed your race. You are now supporting and voting and standing in line and putting in power the very, very political power that hung you. And they just gonna find new and creative ways to hang you again. Well, Malcolm X stayed Republican, those that freed his people. And Malcolm, well, he got a bullet in his chest. Louis Farrakhan, on the other hand, went with those Democrats, the one that hung blacks, created the Klan. And Mr. Farrakhan's a multimillionaire now. Jesse Jackson, he went with the Democrats. He's a rich man. Al Sharpton went with the Democrats. He's a rich man. Martin Luther King remained with a Republican, and he's a dead man. The only Democrat president ever shot, all of them was Republicans. The only Democrat president ever assassinated, John F. Kennedy. Why, brothers and sisters? Why? Because he was a Democrat that sent the FBI into Mississippi and Alabama and other places to stop the Klan. And what did he get? A bullet in his head. If you can't see this, you're worse than blind and you're worse than stupid. This was Malcolm speaking to a group of followers. Listen to what he said.
The Democrats have been in Washington, D.C. only because of the Negro vote. You put them first and they put you last. Because you're a chump. a political chump. In Washington, D.C., in the House of Representatives, there are 257 who are Democrats. Only 177 are Republican. In the Senate, there are 67 Democrats. Only 33 are Republicans. The party that you bash controls 2/3 of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and still they can't keep their promise to you because you're a chump. Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you are dumb enough to walk around continuing to identify yourself with that party, you're not only a chump, but you're a traitor to your race.
Malcolm could reason. His head was not eat up with the worms of personal wantonness. He could see what they was doing, and he called them out for it. And of course, got the bullet. Then the last clip that I want to share with you tonight is the Speaker of the House again, as she berated, low-rated, and even joined in the course of calling Donald Trump a racist because Trump, back in February, stopped China from being able to travel over here. Dr. Fauci didn't want him to stop Chinese from coming over here from China. Pelosi didn't want him to stop them from coming over here. But Trump saw the possibility of this pandemic before it started, acted on it immediately, and they called him a racist. Now here this woman is telling us how Mr. Trump has completely failed during this pandemic.
Up until now, the Trump administration has mounted an opaque and often chaotic response to this outbreak.
During the time that Trump called for the ban on travel from China because of the virus, during the time that he did that, Miss Pelosi, trying to gain favor as always, went to Chinatown in San Francisco and walked among the Chinese, letting them know that Mr. Trump was just a racist and that there was nothing wrong, nothing going to be wrong. Chinatown is lovely and beautiful. Gather her bunch together and walk down the street and tell everybody, come out with us. While Mr. Trump was the one fighting the virus.
Come to Chinatown. Here we are. We're, again, careful, safe, and come join us.
This is the woman who invites everyone in Chinatown out to gather together and then calls Mr. Trump a failure. Gathering crowds in Chinatown with the pleasant speaking that the Bible says, those pleasant words that deceives the simple. Simple is the word the Bible uses. The word means the stupid. Pleasant words. Come out to Chinatown. While now Mr. Fauci himself acknowledges that what Mr. Trump did during the time that Pelosi was inviting people to come on out to Chinatown saved thousands, if not millions, of lives. And yet, this dangerous liar says this now about the president.
Up until now, the Trump administration has mounted an opaque and often chaotic response to this.
Chaotic response to this outbreak. When now even the doctor that was against his shutdown of Chinese travel admits Mr. Trump saved thousands, if not millions, of life. While this dangerous liar, calling for nationwide uprisings, was marching through the streets of Chinatown telling everybody, everything's going to be okay, come on out. It is despicable. And the only one that's stupid in this picture are the ones that's being manipulated by those dangerous liars.
my master's hand and joined the Christian band. Now I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. I left my home and kindred, bound for the promised land. With the grace of God upon me and my Bible in my hand. In distant lands I've trod, crying, sinner, come to God. Yeah, I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. Yeah, I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. Oh, yes, I am. I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. I promised him that I'd serve him till I died. Now I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. Savior, I'll meet him with a smile, for he healed my wounded spirit and he owned me as a child. Around the throne of grace, he prepared my soul a place. Now I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. Yeah, I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. Oh, yes, I am. See, I promised him that I'd serve him till I died. On the battlefield for my Lord. Yeah, I'm on the battlefield for my Lord. I'm a walking